I don't know if you have a songbook or not, or maybe on your mobile phone. There's some. At least the Sanskrit song of Jayadev Goswami, Das Avatar Stotram, is... I've got one, thank you. French or English, it doesn't matter, or let's say the location, the book may be different, but the Sri Das Avatar Stotra from Jayadev Goswami, from Gita Govinda, is... Prabhupada did sometimes say we should sing this on the appearance days of the Lord, particularly those avatars mentioned in this song. So today is Vamana Dwadashi. So if you can look it up, it's normally, even in the morning or after Arati, we usually sing, well, we just call it Namaste Narasingaya, prayer to Lord Nrsingadev. So that's from this Das Avatar Stotram. And today, Vamanadev, you'll see it's verse number 5. If you have your mobile or whatever you can get, something. Verse number 5. We won't sing the whole song, it takes a long time. Verse number 5 is related to Lord Vamanadev. You may have a French version, but I'll read the English one. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of a wonderful dwarf Brahmana. All glories to you, O wonderful dwarf. By your massive steps, you deceive King Bali, and by the Ganges water that has emanated from the nails of your lotus feet, you deliver all living beings within this world. And hopefully some of you have found it. Some of you found it already? Okay, then we'll sing it. Chalaya sivi kramane balim adbhuta vamana padanaka nirajanita janapavana. Chalaya sivi kramane balim adbhuta vamana padanaka nirajanita janapavana. Keshapatrita vamana rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Keshavarita Vamana Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Chalayasti vikramane vale mahadbhuta vamana padanaka nirajanita janapavana. Kesavadvita vamana rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Saraswati Vikramane Vare Mahadbhuta Vamana Janapavana. Kesavadita Vamana Rupa Jagadisha Hare, Jagadisha Hare, Jagadisha Hare. Keshavadita Vamanarupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jagadisha Vamanarupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Vamanarupa 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 Jaya Jaya Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotaya Sadashla A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Shri Shintai Sachi Sutta ki Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki Shri Shri Radha Paraseshwar ki Shri Vamanadev ki Shri Jiva Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai. Is Avirbhav or Tirobhav today? Tiro? Avir? Shri Jiva Goswami Avirbhav Mahamahotsava ki. Go Premanandi. All glorious to the assembled devotees. All glorious to the assembled devotees. All glorious to the assembled devotees. All glorious to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glorious to Shri Bhagavad. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Nami Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivasesha Sanyavadi Pasti Charya Shutani. So today being the Avirbhav of Jiva Goswami and the also appearance day of Lord Vamanadev. In our time, which is a little short in one sense, we will focus this morning on Srimad Bhagavatam, as is normal, and particularly the pastime of the appearance of Lord Vamanadev. What time are you leaving, Prema?
Noon.
Pardon?
Noon.
Noon also. You are leaving at noon too?
Afternoon, yeah.
Afternoon. You have a flight, do you? To somewhere? And we're all leaving round about the same time, noonish or noon lunch, something like that. Great. So I think we'll read a verse from the Bhagavatam. I don't know. Again, you can probably find it on your mobiles. I doubt whether you have a copy of the Bhagavatam, physical copy. And it's certainly not on the board to my knowledge. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So I'm going to read a verse, and we won't repeat it probably. It's quite a long verse. Maybe once or twice we can repeat. This is Canto 8, Chapter 22, verse number 20. Actually, I'm going to read text number 19. It's short and it's easy to chant. Text 19. The one before. Text 19. Barang Viksha Pating Sadvi Tatpatni Bhayavivala Pranjalihi Panato Pendrang Babashe Van Mukhi Nripa Badang Vikshapating Sadvi Tatpatni Bhayavivala Pranjali Pranato Pendrang Babashe Van Mukhi Nripa Badang Vikshapating Sadvi Tatpatni Bhayavivala Pranjali Pranato Pendrang Babashe Van Mukhi Nripa Badang Vikshapating Sadvi Tatpatni Bhayavivala Pranjali Pranato Pendrang Babashe Van Mukhi Nripa Padang Vikshapating Sadvi
Tatpatni Bhayavivala Anjali Pranato Pendram Babashe Van Mukhi Nripa Padam Vikshapatim Sadvi Atpatni Bhayavivala Anjali Pranoto Pendram Babashe Van Mukhi Nripa Badam Vikshapatim Sadvi Tatpatni Bhayavivala Pranjali Pranato Pendram Babashe Van Mukhi Nripa.
Any ladies like to chant?
Badam Vrikshapatim Sadvi Tatpatni Bhayavivalam Pranjali Pranato Pendram
Anjali Pranato Pendram
Babashe Van Mukhi Nripa
Babashe Van Mukhi Nripa Badham arrested. Viksha, seeing. Patim, her husband. Sadvi, the chaste woman. Tatpatni, Bali Maharaj's wife. Bhaya Vivala, being very disturbed by fear. Pranjali, with folded hands. Panata, having offered obeisances. Upendra, unto Vamanadev. Babashe, addressed. Avakmukhi, with face downward. Nipa, O Maharaj Parikshit. Translation, purport. By Srila Prabhupada. But Bali Maharaj's chaste wife, afraid and aggrieved at seeing her husband arrested, immediately offered obeisances to Lord Vamanadev, Upendra. She folded her hands and spoke as follows. His little purport. Although Lord Brahma was speaking, he had to stop for a while because Bali Maharaj's wife, Vindhyavali, who was very agitated and afraid, wanted to say something. No, probably not a normal verse to mention or what to speak of read as on this occasion of Vamanadev. It's of course the introduction to what she says. There's some aspects here, you could say, of culture, of etiquette, even though Lord Brahma was speaking, or about to speak. Previous verse states that Lord Brahma then began to speak to the Supreme Personality of Godhead within the hearing of Prahlad Maharaj, who stood nearby with folded hands. This is not an ordinary event going on here. We have heard, some of us, perhaps most of us, if not all, of the history of the appearance of Lord Vamanadev, perhaps previous chapters, how Bali Maharaj and the demons had conquered the universe, and how Mother Diti was so aggrieved with her sons, demigods, being driven out, basically speaking, from their residences or their positions in the heavenly planets, and how Mother Diti performed the Payovrata activity and attained the blessings of having the Lord as her son. And usually we hear the histories, maybe a few philosophical aspects, a few stories, and a few lessons to learn from all of these particular pastimes of the Lord. The Lord's pastimes are in of themselves purifying. They're not just histories, which may be interesting or not, depending on the hearer. They are interesting, but not everyone sees it like that. But they're not just interesting stories. They're not even just purifying stories to hear. That in itself is most auspicious, just to hear them. But there are many practical, we mentioned one small etiquette here. The wife of Bali Maharaj is as good as his own body. Even though Lord Brahma is speaking, he stopped when Vinjavali came forward, obviously wanting to say something. Vinjavali is the wife of Bali Maharaj. We hear how Lord Vamanadev appeared. The Lord doesn't appear like an ordinary living entity. You don't really have much conscious choice about your appearance, I don't think. We sometimes hear great devotees like Shukadeva Goswami has a conscious choice to a large degree. But the Supreme Lord, to an absolute degree, chooses when he wants to appear, where he wants to appear, how he wants to appear. Is it difficult to understand? Sometimes people think we're pantheists, you're worshipping many gods, not just demigods of, heads, foreheads, and elephant heads, and whatever you've got going on there. Amongst the gods, so to speak, of India, or Bharat, as they say now. But even your same so-called God, you don't know who he is. One day he's a half lion, another day he's a boar, like a hog. Another time he's a fish. What type of God? What is this nonsense? You're worshipping animals, you worship trees, you worship stones, you worship all kinds of complete nonsense. Probably most, pseudo-religious people will say that, probably. And here we have a form which is perhaps quite so extreme as say, here's God, and you show them a picture of a hog wielding a club or something, this is God. Pretty hard for mundane people to relate to. And then you say, well, it's the same person. You show them a picture of Krishna. People don't have let's say, aware or mature in spiritual life to understand. Even we may struggle, even though we've been exposed and we've taken it up somehow or another. Some degree of faith is there. We may also sometimes struggle with certain aspects of, let's say, Vedic description of God, or as devotees like Chitraketu, you probably struggle with that one. How many wives did Chitraketu have? 10 million wives. Are you joking? Are you mad? Yes, we're mad. Prabhupada said, in regards to Lord Nrsingadev, the pastimes of Lord Nrsingadev are probably the most, other than Krishna, I mean, they're all famous, but I mean, they're Krishna, Ramchandra, and Nrsingadev are probably the most three of the Das avatars, at least. And Prabhupada said it, he appears in this form to completely convince the atheist there is no God. They don't want to believe in God. So one of the reasons the Lord appears, and there are many other reasons, of course there are, but one of the reasons Prabhupada says is to convince them, absolutely, my God. They'll say, my God, I don't believe in this. They become convinced that God, so don't waste the devotee's time, or whatever it is, but they're convincing them that there's no God. So appearing as a little dwarf boy is not so inconceivable, maybe, but all the forms of God are the same person. He may manifest temporary forms, temporary forms, or they may be the original eternal forms who take on the various forms in this world for various pastimes, as we see with Lord Vamanadev. The Prabhupada said it's like actors. Some of you may be actors. I don't know if anyone in this room is an actor. I'm not sure about that. Has anyone ever taken part in a drama or put on a performance on stage ever? I know it's not very often you do these things. Is anyone in this room? Vaibhav. Nobody else? Put my glasses on. Prema. Just the two of you, huh? What about that gentleman at the back there? Has he never taken part? Yeah. You're a born actor. Were you acting when you were a little kid? No? At school? No. Secondary school. You were in dramas there? Little bit.
Shy.
When did you start your, I don't want to call it a career, because it's a natural thing. Career sounds like a job.
I went to drama school at age 20, I think.
Oh, you were inclined to go to a dramatic school, so it was in your blood already, obviously. Very much so. So it was kind of always there, but yes. Everyone's got a little bit of that. We're all like that in one sense, in the sense of playing a role, isn't it? We're all playing roles, identifying. I know Maya's a brilliant dramatic director, isn't she? She really trains you up to play your part in this world. Expert. You completely identify, as everyone knows when you're in acting or drama, identifying with the part is an essential feature, isn't it? You've got to focus on the part you play and meditate on it and play it fully and forget your so-called position in the world around you. Your own son or mother or brother, maybe your arch enemy in a drama, isn't it? Your wife, maybe wife, husband, arch enemy. If that's your role in the drama, you don't you don't consider those other situations. You've got to focus on the part you play. Now, does that make you a different person? It appears to, but not really. You may play the part in one drama of Vamanadev, that's a little boy's part, or whatever. Oh, that's given adult part. You may play the part in one drama of Lakshman. The next drama you may play the part of Ravana. Isn't it? Are you a different person or the same person? Same person. You just put on a different dress. The Prabhupada says these forms of God are the same person. You play differently, you act differently, but you're the same person. It's the same person taking on different dresses, different forms, for different reasons.
Different moods.
Different moods. Everything appears somewhat different. Some things are the same, but mostly different. Look different, totally different mood, different scene, different activities, but it's the same person. So all these forms, these are just a few, as Bhagavatam describes, they're like waves, waves on the ocean. They never end. Unending forms. The Lord takes on, and of course there's some, let's say, less personal forms. He has so many different expansions and forms, unlimited, but they're all Him, manifest in different degrees, that's all. So Vamanadev is not, and when Lord Vamanadev did appear, and they choose the time when they appear. It's not like, they come out like normal kid whenever they come out, perhaps according to higher powers as well, of course. But Krishna is the highest power, and He chooses when He wants to appear. Lord Vamanadev appeared. Today is Dwadashi, so we're not officially fasting today, by the way. There is breakfast. The official fast was yesterday, so you have to fast yesterday. That's the Vedic calendar date for fasting. If you remember that next year. I don't think anyone remembered that this year. But on Ekadashi you fast, because on Dwadashi you're supposed to break fast by a certain time. So we don't fast today. You can, a little bit if you want, I suppose, take up to you. But there's supposed to be, why is there feast at noon? Why is the feast at noon?
To glorify the appearance of the Lord.
Because He appeared at noon. Generally we break fast at the time of the appearance of the personality, at least in the terms of the avatars, generally. So in this case today, I don't know if it's a feast or not, I'm not going to comment on, but the prasadam is normally at noon, whatever time noon is. Noon is not necessarily 12 o'clock, technically speaking. So he approached, and that's a very auspicious time, just like our dear Kadambakana Maharaj. He left his body 1 minute into a period called Abhijit, which is the most auspicious time of the day. 1 minute in, and then he left his body. So Lord Vamanadev appeared just as at the right at the moment, the Abhijit, this moment, midday, middle of the day, auspicious time. You see this mentioned in the case of Lord Varahadev and so on in his battle with Hiranyaksha. Auspicious time is about to finish. You have to finish him off. So so he appeared that moment. And he appeared in a four-arm form, with a club, disc, and so on. He didn't appear as a dwarf initially. He appeared in a four-arm form before DT. It was a very auspicious moment. Very auspicious moment. All the demigods came. And then he transformed himself very quickly, the same person, as Krishna did also in the prison of Kamsa. He appeared as a four-arm form. Then he transformed himself into the two-arm form of Vasudeva. So he transformed himself into the form of Vamana, a little Brahmin dwarf. Right from day one, he was a Brahmin. It wasn't like he didn't have to go through the normal, as a Jiva does, through the reformatory rites and purifications and whatever. He immediately, basically at his birth ceremony, he was immediately given by the service of the demigods and so on. Suryadev, the sun god, gave him the Gayatri mantra, and different demigods gave him different items for a Brahmin boy, rod, pot, and this and that. Lord Brahma gave him a Kamandala, I think, and different devotees, so different demigods gave him, deer skin and whatever. Who was it? Gave him, I think, Parvati gave him his first alms. First alms. They all gave him different things. And then, of course, the mission was, DT had been praying for her family, for her sons. So that was his mission. But normally when the Lord appears in most of the forms, if not all, Lord Buddha also. But I think I may be wrong, I can't one by one thinking at this moment, but mostly he comes to literally kill the demons, physically kill them, from our perspective, physically kill them, liberate them in that way. Lord Vamanadev had, of course, as a little Brahmin boy, he could have done also, just as Lord Balaram with a touch of grass killed Dhruva Maharshi. He could have also done that. He could have come and just probably, or he even knew to do that, he could get rid of Bali Maharaj at the blink of an eyelid. He can do whatever he likes. Bali Maharaj would conquer the universe. He was very powerful. Bali Maharaj was very clever. Of course, he's also a devotee playing a role. He's playing the role of the king of the demons. He's not really a demon, he's a devotee, but he's playing a role. Prahlad Maharaj, who's his grandfather of Bali Maharaj. In this verse, which we've just read, the next verse, which we just read one verse, but in the next verse it describes, it goes on a little bit further. I never talked about Bali Maharaj, but the verse before, as we just mentioned, that Lord Brahma was speaking in the presence of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was there. Bali has been cursed. He's gone down to the lower planets. But the curse of his spiritual master, Shukracharya. Shukracharya is another one playing a role. We just generally think he's a demon, but he's not a demon. He's playing the role of the spiritual master of the demigod, of the demons, that's all. So he has to act like that. As if you're in a drama, you have to play your part. We're all playing parts, many of these personalities. He's playing his part too, to guide the demons according to their desires and to the direction of Krishna. We'll see that in a minute. So this pastime is a very, very wonderful pastime. It takes up a good percentage of the 8th canto of the Bhagavatam. Lord Vamanadev, as a little boy, then he went off. They had a big sacrifice when he was appeared in the world. All the demigods came for his birth ceremony and initiation and so on. And then he immediately went off to the place where Bali Maharaj was performing. He was very powerful, Bali Maharaj, and now he was becoming even more powerful. He was following the descendants of Bhrigu Muni. Bhrigu Muni's line of, let's say, spiritual masters. Shukracharya is in Bhrigu's line. So he was following that line of spiritual masters. And they were performing a great sacrifice. Some of you have been you're from the Gujarat. No? Where are you from? Delhi. Anyone from Gujarat? Nobody here from Gujarat? Some of you have been to Gujarat? Mataji, you're not from the Gujarat?
I'm from Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka, South India, or off the coast of India, we should say. But if you've been to Gujarat, you may have been on the train going down from Delhi to Bombay. At least you pass through Gujarat. And different trains go slightly different directions, of course, but quite often the train, I think all of them go through a town called, I don't know how to pronounce it properly, of course I don't. It looks like Baguch. Baguch. Is that right? Baguch? Something like that. You've been there? Yeah, somewhere around about Baroda. Before or after, I'm not sure. It's on the river Narmada. Famous river Narmada. And that is exactly where Bali Maharaj was performing his yajna. It used to be called Bhrigu Kutch, now Baguch. That was the place of Bhrigu Muni. So that's where and Prabhupada writes it in the purport, on the banks of southern banks? Northern, I can't remember. Bank of the river Narmada, the yajna was being performed by Bali Maharaj. So Vamanadev went off to that place. Sure enough, there was great personalities were assembled there. Even some of the so many great personalities were there. Different spiritual personalities were there for this great sacrifice. And Bali was now the head of the universe, practically speaking. On the, let's say, not of course touching Lord Brahma on the highest level, but up to the heavenly planets at least. So he came there, and Lord, although very, very small, we can't measure, he's immeasurable, but he appeared very small and very effulgent. I mean, he was manifesting the Brahma Jyoti, you could say, it's like the Brahman. He was so effulgent. Just like when Lord Chaitanya came into the assembly of Prakashananda Saraswati, they thought he was Narayan, so effulgent. So he was very effulgent, and everyone stood up. Interesting, they're all demons. They're not necessarily demons, but they're following the demoniac path. But still, when they saw this young Brahmin boy, so effulgent, so pure looking, innocent, they all stood up and offered their respects. They all stood up. Bali Maharaj bowed down. It was a great honor. We see even the Vedic society, even the demons would honor Brahmins many times. Jarasandha. So many of them, their power came from that, by honoring the Brahmins. And that's this whole story, is because Indra offended the Brahmins, and Shukra lost his good fortune. And Shukracharya was getting strength from serving the Brahmins. Very powerful, very important. Culture. Anyway, cut a long story short, Bali Maharaj offered the Brahmin boy, whatever you want, ask of me. Huh? That's another aspect, to give in charity to the Brahmins. This is a must for a human being. A must. It's not a choice, it's a must. You're not a human being if you don't do that. You might call yourself a Hindu or whatever you want to call yourself, but unless you realize that this is my duty, one of the most important duties of a householder. That's whether a person's a Brahmin or not is another subject, but the principle is like that. So, Bali Maharaj wanted to give charity. And as you know, Shukracharya, who was quite perceptive, said, no, don't give him anything. He'll take it all away from you. It's like ISKCON devotees, isn't it? Huh?
Maybe he whispered it.
He may have whispered it, yes, indeed. But he told him, don't give him anything. And he said, you give him everything, you'll lose everything. Listen to me. I'm your spiritual master. Bit of a dilemma, huh? He said, if you don't listen to me, you know what's going to happen to you, don't you? I'm going to curse you. You're going to go down to the lower planets, boy. So a bit of a dilemma. He said, this boy, this boy is not just a Brahmin boy. He is your avowed enemy in disguise. This is Vishnu. So now we have another dilemma, because part of their yajna was to worship Vishnu. So you've got a complication going on here. You're just telling me part of the, he's one of the many, of course. We have to offer, oblations and offerings to Lord Vishnu, and now you're telling me he's Vishnu, but I don't give him anything. A bit of a dilemma here. But Bali Maharaj thought, and he decided, no, I'm not going to break my promise. I'm not going to break it. I said I would give him charity. Mother Earth can tolerate anyone except for a liar. Someone who says one thing and does another. There's a lot of that going on, isn't there, in the world today? Maybe even in our own lives. You have to ask yourselves. But no, I'm going to keep to my promise. And sure enough, he went ahead and gave. And Shukracharya made a few other endeavors to stop him. But eventually he did. He made a few arguments, this, that, the other, and even did, a physical endeavor to block him from giving the charity. But he gave it. And what did little Brahmin boy ask for? Now say, what do you want? Just give me little 2 pieces of land, steps, two steps. The little boy, this high, 2 steps maybe cover this much space. Huh? This much space, not much more. Come on, you fool. You can ask for more. I can give you a whole planetary system. Come on, you're intelligent. You're not very intelligent. And what did Vamanadev say? He said, if I'm not satisfied with 2 steps of land, I will not be satisfied with the whole universe. If I'm not satisfied with 2 steps of land, I will not be satisfied with the whole universe. Another lesson. Greed. Huh? We always want more and more and more and more and more. For 3 steps of land. So just give me 3 steps of land. I will not be satisfied with the universe if I'm not satisfied with 3 steps of land. We're never satisfied, are we? No matter how much we've got, how much name, fame, prestige, followers, money, etc. Never satisfied in this world. They're teaching a little lesson. Eventually said, okay, if that's what you want, go for it. So he did. Vamanadev took his 1 step first, and of course he covered a large, it became a little bit more than just a little space like this. He suddenly expanded a little bit, and he covered 2/3 more, can't say in distance, but the lower and middle planetary systems were covered by 1 step. Inconceivable. And he took his 2nd step and finished the rest of the universe off. Boing! His big toe went through the coverings of the universe there. And then came the Gangas, we've just heard. Pouring in. That's another story. Put that aside. Auspiciousness. So what to do now? My God. You promised me 3 steps. Okay. Are you going to break your promise or what? You were so worried about breaking your promise, wasn't it? Now you promised me 3 steps. 3 steps. I've taken 2, so tell me, where am I going to put my 3rd? So, what to do? He was arrested. They arrested Bali Maharaj. He broke his promise. He was arrested. They tied him up with the ropes of, was it Asuki or something? Asuki? Huh?
The snake.
The snake, yeah. They tied him up, and he was humiliated. Totally humiliated. Now this for a Kshatriya is worse than death, isn't it? Kill me, please, but don't humiliate me. You saw this with Rukmi and... we didn't do that in the drama, did we? His fight with, with Krishna. No, I mean, Rukmi. Humiliation, fate worse than death, practically is unbearable. So there he is. Everyone stood there, looking at him, tied up like this, like a slave or an animal, bound up. What a humiliation. 1 minute you're the head of the universe, the next minute you're bound up like a dog or like an animal tied up with ropes. So what to do then? Come on. You promised me 3 steps. And so everyone has heard this, of course, it's famous. Bali Maharaj says, okay. He placed his head down. Please, place your lotus feet on my head. Put the 3rd step there. This is a very famous story, and he's praised and glorified, rightly so. Even in Nectar Devotion we read that he's the excellent example of Atmanivedana, complete surrender. One who surrenders everything to the Lord. Very nice example, we could say. But there's more to it than that. Very nice, very good. When one's bound up, one surrenders everything. When one's faced with a breaking of one's promise and humiliation and goodness knows what else, by not following one's word of honor, I better get out of this one pretty quick. So, nice, he did the right thing. He offered his head, in other words, he basically offered himself in that sense to the Lord. Now we're going to go now into the next verse, so this is where we're at right now. It's a brief summary. And the next verse, after the one we read in the beginning, text number 20, is Srimati Vinjavali speaking. Vinjavali is the wife of Bali Maharaj. So you can imagine, ladies, some of you are married. 1, 2, I don't know how many, at least 2 of you are married. Maybe 3 or 4, 5, I don't know how many. But at least 2. You know what it's like if you were to come back. You just came back from overseas, more or less. And you came back and you probably had enough, give him enough good lessons, but he deserves it. But imagine if your husband, in your absence, has just given away absolutely everything, from the house to the car to the clothes to the kitchen sink to the shoes to everything, the bank account, you name it. Huh? All of her saris, everything, is nothing left. All that's left is this husband bound up with ropes with his head down, and everything's gone, and he gave it away. It wasn't like someone came and took it.
Yeah.
I'm not giving ideas here, please. Don't. You can imagine how the wife would think. He never knew it. He never even asked her. Can you imagine? You have to learn to consult with your wife. It's an important secret. He gave it all away without even giving her a single word of comment. You can imagine how she felt. Isn't it? I mean, even your own things, if someone takes it, how do you feel? Sometimes the first thing we think when something's missing, someone's pinched my pen. Who's pinched my pen? Sometimes, isn't it? It's not even pinched, you lost it. But sometimes the first thing is, who's pinched my pen? Sometimes it comes out like that. We immediately think, So you can imagine how she felt. Let's see what she says. Vinjavali said, she's addressing Lord Vamanadev here. "Oh my Lord, you have created the entire universe for the enjoyment of your personal pastimes." Interesting, huh? It's meant for the Lord's pastimes, not ours. "But foolish, unintelligent men have claimed proprietorship for material enjoyment." Pretty far out. Unintelligent. Certainly they are shameless agnostics. What's an agnostic? What's an agnostic? Huh?
Person who neither believes nor
Neither
not
believes,
believe.
neither
Huh?
A person who neither believes or no.
Yeah, it doesn't have any kind of... My brother was an agnostic. He claimed agnostic. He didn't believe or disbelieve. He didn't accept anything as absolute or authoritative. It just is what it is, There's no kind of absolute purpose or absolute head or origin or anything. They're not absolutely against it. That's your thing. But they're not, They're just enjoyers. They just see whatever comes its way is there. It's yours. Do what you want. Shameless agnostic. Falsely claiming proprietorship, they think they can... Now here's the crunch line. They think they can give charity and enjoy. We'll explain it in a minute. In such a condition, of course you can see even in the Bhagavad Gita, the demoniac person also has a little bit of that in them. In such a condition, what good can they do for you, who are the independent creator, maintainer and annihilator of this universe? She's a very intelligent lady, and Prabhupada says Bali Maharaj's wife, who was most intelligent, supported the arrest of her husband. She supported him being arrested. Amazing, huh?
she didn't like him.
Hey, better keep quiet over there. And accused him of having no intelligence because he had claimed proprietorship of the property of the Lord. So the point being here, it's a long purport, we don't have time to go through the purport fully, but the point is like this: he is now proud. I have fulfilled my promise. It's another form of pride. Yes, you have to perform your promise, but still it's tinged with illusion or ignorance. I have done it. It was mine to give. Well, she said, it wasn't yours in the first place. How can you give it in the second place?
Very deep.
Pardon?
Very deep.
Very deep. It's never yours, she said. It is never, Prabhupada talks about this in one lecture. It was never yours in the first place. Come on. Wake up, will you? She told her, Prabhupada said she was far more intelligent than her husband. Far more. And this is the fine line between surrendering everything and being a surrendered soul. Two characteristics of, qualities of her. She was a surrendered soul. She saw everything as already Krishna's. There's no question of mine or yours. It's just a matter of conscious realization. Her husband wasn't quite there yet. Again, playing a part. It's not that he wasn't there, but they're playing parts to show. We can be proud, I'm doing this and you're not doing very much. I'm doing so much, I'm giving so much, and whatever it may be. It's okay, children are like that. But if we want to grow up, one has to get out of that mentality of seeing ourselves as the doer, etc. We're fortunate to be, to be an instrument in a sense of the devotion to the Lord being enacted. It's our choice. It goes down to our choice of how we see things, perception. And many times we face this challenge in our lives as aspiring devotees, this seeing ourselves. So in other words, it's basically still somewhat seeing oneself in the center. And not seeing Krishna fully in the center. He's there in the picture, but he's not in the center. We're still in the center of the picture. He's in the picture as well, but I'm in the center of the picture. Tends to be there, and everyone else should agree with that. I'm in the center of the picture, listen to me, I want to do it this way, I want to do it that way, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to blah, 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 bang, bang, bang. Well, what about what Krishna wants? That's Krishna conscious. What does he want? So, Vindhyavali teaching a very amazing lesson. I recommend you read the purport, of course there's more. But there's a lecture of Srila Prabhupada on this subject matter, so you can find even further. Simple, straight to the point. We're not so advanced. We may learn things and say things, but we're still we're probably not even on the level of Bali Maharaj. I mean, we're nowhere near on the level, but I mean, even that type of approach, we still want, we're still, we're not going to let go of that one. I'm not going to even tell anyone I've got that one. I'll keep that hidden in the core of my heart. I'm not going to let go of that. No, I'm not going to sacrifice that. I don't mind giving some money or some time, as long as I get respected or recognized, I don't mind doing it. As long as I get my receipt, I'll give money and so on and so forth. Maybe, as long as you put my name up on the board. And, I was like that at the I got this tendency. I mean, we were at this reunion, what's it? 50th anniversary, Radha Gokulananda's 50th anniversary. And some loving devotee had made these boards with all the names of the devotees from the early 70s and what service. And I'm looking at this board, I thought, oh my God, they've got it all wrong. They've got it all wrong, This one wasn't. He wasn't even there then. You know, I've got this kind of memory that remembers the details like this. They got in the wrong year. He wasn't initiated then. He was initiated then. He didn't do that service. He did a different service. And they missed out this one. They missed out me on that one. It was like a whole thing going on there, you know. And I had to try to control my senses. It wasn't easy. Because those things are going to be stuck there for generations, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with these boards. They had some beautiful boards with everyone's name when they were initiated, what service they did, and this and that.
Did they put your name?
My name was there, but it was in the wrong block, you know, and it didn't. No, I was just someone else, you know, another devotee joining in '72 and this and that. They didn't put me in. It was just a general category, you know. Then there's management category and deity department and Sangha department and this one and that one, and it stopped at '77. Which wasn't true, you know. I was still there after '77. It was such an offence, you know. I thought they offended me, you know. How could they do that? You know, they should have asked me first, you know. They never even asked me. I don't know who they asked, but they obviously didn't ask me. Anyway, you know, we sometimes have that tendency. So it to me is like a very kind of simple kind of, in one sense, a lesson, but a very hard one to take. It's not easy. Now, the other point I was just going to mention before we finish, and if you want to say something, by all means do, was at the end of this wonderful pastime and interaction between the Lord and his devotees, how he removes the demoniac mentality. Huh? Now, that doesn't sound like exactly a demoniac mentality, that, you know, Bali Maharaj was still thinking, I've given charity, I've, you know, surrendered what I thought was mine to him. It doesn't sound like a demoniac mentality, and it's not really, but it's not a completely ripe understanding. It's not it's not the full understanding of pure devotional service. So to remove any impediment on our path. The Lord sometimes puts us in he does, always puts us in different situations to try to remove impediments on our path to pure devotional service. So this is just one. Many examples could be given probably. But there's another one, which is another lesson, example, very significant, which comes up in the next chapter. And this, by the way, really took my memory back a few decades. I don't know if you remember, they used to have something called tapes, cassettes we would call them. And this is the thing you put inside a cassette, you see? Like this. We used to sell these. This going back probably to the 90s, I suppose, 80s, 90s, I don't know. I don't know where it's from. Johannesburg, Hillsborough. This is from Hillsborough, Johannesburg, from their temple in Johannesburg. So that's going back a few decades, that's for sure. Prabhupada. It was inside the book. So this is from the next chapter, the demigods regain the heavenly planets. Bali Maharaj then, of course, goes down to the lower planetary systems, which is better than the heavens, by the way, and where he went, Sutaloka, or whatever it was. And then situation carries on, and the Lord, I'll just read a few pre-verses so you get the picture. Sukadev Goswami said, accompanied by Bali Maharaj, my dear King Parikshit, Prahlad Maharaj, the master of all the chiefs of the demons, took the Supreme Lord's order on his head with folded hands. After saying this to the Lord, circumambulating him and offering him respectful obeisances, he also entered the lower planetary system known as Sutala. So Prahlad Maharaj also went down. Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan, thereafter addressed Sukracharya. Lord Vamanadev, Lord Narayan, he's actually Narayan, addressed Sukracharya, who was sitting nearby in the midst of the assembly, with the priests. O Maharaj Parikshit, these priests were all Brahmavadis, followers of the Vedic principles for performing sacrifices. And this is what the Lord said. He said to Shukracharya, O best of the Brahmins, Shukracharya, please describe the fault or discrepancy in your disciple Bali Maharaj, who engaged in performing sacrifices. This fault will be nullified when judged in the presence of qualified Brahmins. So what was his fault? So Bali Maharaj and Prahlad had departed for the planet Sutala, and then Lord Vishnu asked Shukracharya what the fault was in Bali Maharaj for which Shukracharya had cursed him. What did he do wrong? It might be argued that since Bali Maharaj had now left the scene, how could his faults be judged? In reply to this, Lord Vishnu informed Shukracharya that there was no need for Bali Maharaj's presence, for his faults and discrepancies could be nullified if judged before the Brahmins. It's a big topic. As will be seen in the next verse, Bali Maharaj had no faults. And I'll read the next verse, or two verses. Shukracharya said, my Lord, you are the enjoyer and lawgiver in all performances of sacrifice. And you are the Yajna Purush, the person to whom all sacrifices are offered. If one has fully satisfied you, where is the chance of discrepancies or faults in his performance of sacrifice? That's Shukracharya speaking. And we have to move on in time. I can't read the purport, but the next verse is a very famous verse, perhaps one of the most famous in this section of Bhagavatam. Mantratas tantratas chidrang deshakalaha vastutaha sarvang karoti nishchidram anusankirtanang tava. Shukracharya goes on. There may be discrepancies.
23:16.
Thank you. There may be discrepancies in pronouncing the mantras. There may be discrepancies in observing the regulative principles. And moreover, there may be discrepancies in regard to time, place, person, and paraphernalia. But when your Lordship's holy name is chanted, everything becomes faultless. And this is Shukracharya speaking.
And if you mispronounce the holy names of the Lord?
If you're doing it purposely, that's offensive, isn't it? If you're doing it unknowingly or because of some shortcoming in your capacity, that is not a fault. I have many quotes on this, but there's one quote Prabhupada said, in some parts of India they say Krishna. Prabhupada said Krishna understands exactly what they're saying, it doesn't matter at all. We may argue over these things, Ramo, this, that, the other. It's all mental concoctions. If you're doing that purposely to imitate, then it's different. But, certain persons, that's the way they've been brought up. That's the way it is. There's nothing wrong. But if we imitate it, then there's a problem. Because you're doing it for some other reason. It depends on the intent, the purpose of why we're doing what we're doing. What our intention is. To impress people, to sound nice, to make, or on the opposite side, to make fun, or whatever it is, It's not for that reason. And that's Prabhupada's own words, so what can we do? Everything becomes faultless. Let's read the purport. We'll just finish on that. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended Harinam, Harinam, Harinam eva kevalam kalo nastyeva 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 gatiranyatha. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. In this age of Kali, it is extremely difficult to perform Vedic ritualistic ceremonies or sacrifices perfectly. Hardly anyone can chant the Vedic mantras with perfect pronunciation or accumulate the paraphernalia for Vedic performances. Therefore, the sacrifice recommended in this age is Sankirtan, constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Yagir Sankirtanam Prayar Yajandihi Sumedhasaha. Instead of wasting time performing Vedic sacrifices, those who are intelligent, those who possess good brain substance, should take to the chanting of the Lord's holy name, and thus perform sacrifice perfectly. I have seen that many religious leaders are addicted to performing yajnas and spending hundreds and thousands of rupees for imperfect sacrificial performances. This is a lesson for those who unnecessarily execute such imperfect sacrifices. We should take the advice of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yagyaya Sankirtanam Prayar Yajantihi Sumedhasaha. Although Shukracharya was a strict Brahmin, addicted to ritualistic activities, he also admitted, Nischidram Anusankirtanam Tava. My Lord, constant chanting of the holy name of your Lordship makes everything perfect. Constant chanting. So simple and so sublime, huh? Whatever you're doing, chant the holy names. Huh? Washing the pots, cleaning the garden, whatever you're doing. Sometimes you cannot because you're speaking something else. Or you're in a situation which doesn't allow it. But whenever possible, we chant the holy name. Whenever possible. So simple. That makes everything faultless, purifies everything. Although Shukracharya, we read, in Kali Yuga, the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies cannot be performed as perfectly as before. Therefore, Srila Jiva Goswami has therefore recommended that although one should take care to follow all the principles in every kind of spiritual activity, especially in worship of the deity, there is still a chance of discrepancies. There's a very good chance of discrepancies. And you're a Pujari also, you know that only too well. It's almost impossible not to have a discrepancy, isn't it? Depending how you define it. One should compensate. Again, it depends on the attitude. Not that we purposely do something wrong and then say, never mind, Hare Krishna. Not like that. We try our best to do it properly. But there will be we're kids on the path. So we're definitely going to make some mistakes. But we should try to do everything nicely according to Krishna's will. And if we know something is not so good, we should try to improve it. But there's definitely going to be some discrepancies. Oh, sorry, I just touched my nose. I have to go and take a bath, right? I mean, come, we're not Vedic Brahmins, you know. They have their checkers. There's somebody there washing, and if you make one mistake, you're out, you know. Oh, out. There'd be nobody left. Nobody. To counter that, compensate for this by chanting the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In our Krishna conscious movement, we therefore give special stress to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra in all activities. It doesn't say we give special stress to the chanting. Prabhupada cites here, Jiva Goswami says, he gives special stress in all activities. Not just, now I'm chanting, now I'm doing something else, blah, blah, blah. But in all activities. Anyway, that's just another nice... This is basically almost the end of this particular section on Bali Maharaj.
About the ending of the story, what did the Lord promise to do?
Pardon?
What did the Lord to Bali Maharaj became?
What did he become on the planet of Sutala? It was like a Vaikuntha planet, practically speaking.
Doorkeeper.
He became the doorkeeper there. Thank you, correct. And not only that, but Bali Maharaj also then took on the role, after that period of time, of being Indra. He became Indra himself. after his time in Sutala.
I was wondering what kind of doorkeeper was it? It was not Vamanadev, it was another kind of incarnation? Or?
Yeah, well, he takes on, as we started off mentioning that the Lord assumes various forms according to the various situations. And he was four-armed form when he first appeared, then he assumed the form of Vamanadev. So whatever form it was exactly as a doorkeeper, I don't know if he was a bouncer, maybe like a bouncer or something. I don't know what form he took. I don't. Not Brahmin. I keep the appropriate form, no doubt. Amazing. Actually, Prabhupada writes, I know I won't be able to find it, but I remember reading it. Prabhupada writes here somewhere that in the performance, maybe at the end of this chapter, let me see. An interesting purport. Yeah, here it goes. There are three kinds of ceremonies, specifically ceremonies to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead or the demigods, those performed for social ceremonies, celebrations like marriages and births, and those meant to please the forefathers, like the Shraddha ceremony. In all these ceremonies, large amounts of money are spent for various activities, but here it is suggested that if along with this there is recitation of the wonderful activities of Vamanadev, certainly the ceremony will be carried out successfully and will be free of all discrepancy. Interesting, huh? That's why I almost always at least quote that verse before any yogya, even initiation or whatever, and just briefly mention it. As Prabhupada said, or those to please the Supreme Personality of God, those which are like social family, and those which are for the forefathers, etc. In all ceremonies, it becomes, successful if you discuss the pastimes of Bali Maharaj.
And in deity worship, after you finish, you say a prayer to forgive me for anything that went wrong.
Yeah,
Like that.
that's true. I don't know if everyone does that. Some devotees do. I just say Hare Krishna. Yeah, to do. So, any comments, questions, if you've already been there? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the beautiful class. Yes. The thing is, Bali Maharaj was very demonic, he wanted to have everything. Finally, because he gave everything, because only thing is he wanted to do the duty right. So by his doing duty, gave everything without attachment, so he got glorified. Is that right?
Well, from my understanding, yes and no. He was acting in such a way against the demigods, but he was not a demon. He's born in the family of Prahlad Maharaj. Bali Maharaj is a great devotee. He's acting in the role. And we sometimes see that even in the Battle of Kurukshetra. I mean, great devotees were on the side of Duryodhana. Bhishma, Drona and others. It's they have parts to play in the bigger plan of the Lord. So he had a big part to play, teaching the demigods various lessons, showing lessons, and so many different things, roles he had to play in the Lord's pastimes. So the Lord is in control of everything, as Shukracharya said here. This was arranged by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he wasn't exactly demoniac, but he was playing that particular role. So on the other side, yes, anyone, demon or not, whatever you want to call them, if they surrender to the Lord, gets the highest benefit. And even if you're killed by the Lord, you get, because if you're a Brahmavadi, at least a Mayavadi, whatever it is, you get liberated, at least. So you always get the benefit. But in the case of Bali Maharaj, he was not a demon. He was just acting in a role as the king of the demons.
But he wasn't intelligent. India Valley was intelligent. He wasn't intelligent. He was acquiring and thinking that everything is mine.
He was in that part of behaving like that. Now again, different devotees play different roles to show different lessons. It's not necessary, therefore, Bali Maharaj, I mean, he's one of the Mahajans. He's not an ordinary living entity. But in this particular pastime, he is certainly, you could say, in that position where he's showing the difference between attachment or identification with being the proprietor and not being the proprietor. Understanding of
playing
the...
like unintelligent, and then Vindhyavali was playing like intelligent.
Playing or not playing, but that's what the situation is here. And it's not our business to analyze that over and above what we've already done, but certainly they're playing parts under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Thank you.
All arranged by the Lord to show the difference between, let's say, always seeing everything as a Lord. Just like when Prithu Maharaj, when the 4 Kumaras came to Prithu Maharaj, of course he's Shakti-Avesh avatar of the Lord, but the 4 Kumaras came to see him, and Prithu Maharaj immediately bowed down to them. They're Brahmanas, and naturally a Kshatriya, Prithu Maharaj was in the role of a Kshatriya, offers the Brahmins, just like Bali Maharaj, please ask whatever you want, but actually I don't have anything to give you. He says, I have nothing to give you at all. It's already, everything is yours. You're the proprietor on behalf of the Supreme. I don't have anything. Out of your kindness, or if you're, even Prabhupada writes, he said, the Brahmins have more important things to do other than organize and manage things around you. Therefore, out of their kindness, they give it to the Kshatriyas. Just like a man may put their money in a bank and have the bank look after it, but it's your money, although nowadays I don't think that's the fact. The bank does any damn thing they like with your money, or somebody does, but it's not meant to. You're putting your money in there and they're just holding it for you, but it's your money. I mean, it's not, but I mean, you know what I mean. So Prabhupada says the Brahmins own everything, but out of they have more important things to do than have to mess around with all those things of the world. Prabhupada said they have to study the scriptures and do their duties, But they end up managing it, so it's not right. That's supposed, they give that to the Kshatriyas because the Kshatriyas want to do it. So, the pure devotees see it like that. On behalf of the Brahmanas, they're, organizing.
So even though sometimes if it's not our nature, by doing our duty, we may get purified.
Yeah, if you're actually doing your duty. But, doing one's duty is not a concoction, or it's not even just a business of your nature. It's to following the nature. Our real nature is to serve Krishna. So we serve Krishna in this world by doing your duty in the way that Krishna says you should do your duty, not the way we want to do it. You have to find out how it should be done. Not just, I'm a Kshatriya, therefore, I punch people.
The way I want to do is my nature, but I do the way that Krishna wanted to do.
You have to find out how to engage that nature in Krishna's service. We all have mixed natures. It's difficult sometimes, but as much as possible we try to find out how to engage, just like Prabhupada Prabhu is engaging his nature in Krishna service. I'm sure you are too. What do you like doing? What do you like doing? Let's just put it up.
I do everything but with Krishna.
You do everything. You're trying to compete with Krishna?
No.
Everything. Any service. You don't mind what service.
Pleases Krishna, I want to do it.
Very nice. Perfect. So you just take advice what to do. You just we don't say, I think I'll do this now, I think I'll do that now. It's better to take guidance.
But Krishna wants me to.
Krishna wants me to sleep. Possibly. At least I won't cause so much trouble if I'm sleeping.
Don't cause so much trouble.
You like cooking?
Sorry?
You cook? Are you a cook? Are you a cook?
Yeah, I cook for deities in Melbourne Temple.
Nice. Cooks for the deities in Melbourne Temple. Melbourne Temple has one of the highest standards. At least it did when Kurma was here. Perhaps the highest standard, very high standard of cooking in Melbourne. They used to have. I don't know how it is now.
Cook breakfast, cook sometimes 6:43 sweets and 3 savories.
Nice. So stay here. You can be the deity cook. You said whatever. You said I'm telling you what Krishna wants. Now she's in a dilemma. But Krishna told me I had to stay in Melbourne and cook for him there. Now he's telling me I have to stay here and cook for him here.
I don't know, this accidentally happened now. I'm traveling for 80 days.
80 days, around the world in 80 days. Was that what it was?
I was in Austin for 5 weeks, and then Bulgaria for 5 days, Lithuania 3 days, here 3
Bulgaria?
days. Yes.
Really?
Here 3 days,
You went for Rath Yatra?
Yes, I was there.
She was there for the Rath Yatra in Bulgaria.
But
Wow.
I didn't plan it. Krishna planned it.
That's where you met each other, at the Rath Yatra in Bulgaria. I see, I saw you knew each other from somewhere. Did you go to Varna?
Madhuvan?
Varna. In Bulgaria. It's a holiday resort on the coast called Varna.
No, only 5 days.
You didn't. You could have. All your problems would have been solved if you'd gone to Varna, because we have an ashram in Varna, so it becomes Varna ashram. And everything's clear. Varna ashram. Exactly what you should do. You should find out.
Devotee from Varna.
Did you?
I met a
Wow,
devotee.
wonderful.
She came to the Madhuvan farm. New Madhuvan.
Is it?
Yeah.
I've never been.
Bulgaria farm I went to.
Oh, Bulgaria farm.
The
Where are you
cows.
going up here? The cows.
In
Okay.
Lithuania 3 days.
Lithuania.
Yeah,
Been.
3 days.
Amazing.
Then first time I'm going to Juhu, Mumbai, Pune, Puri, Kolkata, Mayapur, first time.
Exciting, huh? Nice. You're like Vanaprasti.
I think so. I'm in Vanaprastha. I don't have any family or any connection.
No family now. We're traveling the world.
But
Spreading
this
the
time
holy
I
name.
can't go to Melbourne. I have to go to new Govardhan. I'm going to teach the Gokula school.
Oh.
Gurukula school.
Okay, well, stay here and start a school here in France.
Yes.
We have a headmaster. We have permission to have a school. We just need teachers and students and buildings
Last 6
and
years,
money.
Last 6 years I didn't work at all. I was full time serving the temple. Now they wanted me to work for the
School.
New Govardhan,
New-
Bhaktiveda and the Gurukula school.
Wow, far out.
I'm going to volunteer there.
Wow, wonderful. Your life is auspicious. All glories to your service. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada.